Captain Nexar Ven stood at the helm of the Scavengers Fortune, his six-fingered hands dancing across the holographic controls as his ship approached the massive derelict vessel. The sensors had picked up the abandoned ship 3 cycles ago, drifting in the void between the armed spirals of the galaxy, far from any established trade routes or settlements. "Another piece of space junk," First Officer Kira muttered, her crystalline form refracting the soft blue light of the bridge. "Probably stripped clean by the drift raiders already." Nexar's facial tendrils twitched in disagreement. Something about this ship was different. The design was unlike anything he'd encountered in his 30 cycles as a salvage captain. Most derelicts showed clear signs of their origin, Zentari smooth curves, Hoxian geometric patterns, or Valderan bioorganic shapes. But this vessel defied classification. "Run another scan," he ordered, enlarging the holographic display. The ship was enormous, easily 3 kilometers in length. Its hull was a dark, almost light-absorbing material, broken only by what appeared to be weapon emplacements and launch bays. Despite its apparent age, there was no visible deterioration. "Captain," the ship's AI chimed in, analysis complete. "Structure appears to be composed of unknown alloys. No matching configurations in our database of known species vessel designs." Kira moved closer to the display, her crystalline body chiming softly. "How is that possible? The consortium maintains records of every spacefaring civilization for the past 50,000 cycles." "Not every civilization," Nexar whispered, his tendrils now fully erect with excitement. "Computer, magnify Sector 7 of the hull." The hologram zoomed in on a partially visible marking. Though worn by time and micrometeor impacts, the symbol was unmistakable, a stylized eagle clutching a planet, with strange angular script beneath it. "By the void," Kira gasped. "Human." The word hung in the air like a physical presence. Humans were more legend than history now, a species that had blazed across the galaxy like a supernova before mysteriously disappearing. Their technological achievements were spoken of in hushed whispers in spaceports across the galaxy. Some said they had transcended physical form, others believed they had fallen victim to their own advanced weapons. But one thing all the stories agreed on, their technology had been centuries, perhaps millennia ahead of anything known today. "Prep the boarding shuttles," Nexar ordered, his voice steady despite his racing heart. "Full containment protocols. No risks." Within an hour, 3 shuttles detached from the Scavengers Fortune, carrying Nexar, Kira, and their most experienced salvage teams. As they approached the enormous vessel, Nexar couldn't shake the feeling that they were being watched. The entry point was a secondary cargo bay, its massive doors frozen half open like the maw of some ancient beast. The shuttles slipped through easily, their landing lights illuminating a cavernous space filled with mysterious machinery and cargo containers. "Atmosphere present but thin," reported Tech, their environmental specialist. "Gravity at 0.8 standard. No signs of biological hazards." Nexar stepped onto the deck, his magnetic boots clicking against the metal surface. The air tasted stale through his breather mask, but breathable. Their lights cut through the darkness, revealing technology that seemed both familiar and alien, like looking at modern equipment through a warped lens. "Start with these containers," he ordered, gesturing to a nearby stack. "Standard salvage protocols." But before his crew could move, the deck beneath them vibrated. A low hum began to build, and lights, impossibly still functional after countless centuries, began to flicker to life throughout the cargo bay. "Captain," Kira's voice was tense. "Something's powering up." A holographic interface materialized in the center of the cargo bay, its resolution and stability far superior to anything their own technology could produce. Symbols and text in the ancient human script scrolled across it, too fast to follow. "Return to the shuttles," Nexar ordered, but it was too late. Heavy security doors slammed shut, sealing them inside. The hologram stabilized, forming into a human figure, a woman in what appeared to be a military uniform. Unauthorized presence detected, the figure announced in perfect modern common, its voice echoing through the vast space. You have breached the HSS Eternal Dawn, a restricted military vessel of the Human Strategic Command. Please remain still while your species designation is verified and threat assessment completed. Nexar's tendrils went limp with shock. They hadn't found a derelict, they'd awakened it. And as the ship's systems continued to power up around them, one thought dominated his mind: what else had they awakened? Identity confirmed, Nexar Ven, captain of independent salvage vessel Scavengers Fortune. Species, Ventari. Technology level, Category 3. Warning: your presence on this vessel constitutes a violation of Human Strategic Command Directive 7719. Prepare for questioning. The holographic woman's expression remained neutral, but something in her artificial eyes made Nexar's blood run cold. They had come seeking salvage from a dead civilization, only to find that some things never truly die, they just wait. Captain Nexar stood frozen as scanning beams swept across his crew, the ship's AI continuing its methodical assessment. The cargo bay had transformed from a dead space into a living system, with previously invisible panels sliding away to reveal defense turrets and containment fields. Threat assessment complete, the holographic woman announced. Hostile intent detected, salvage operation targeting restricted military technology. Initiating containment protocols. Wait. Nexar raised his hands. We didn't know this was an active military installation. We can leave immediately. The hologram tilted its head, an unervingly human gesture. Negative. Protocol requires full decontamination and memory suppression of all encountered restricted technology. Kira stepped forward, her crystalline form reflecting the increasingly bright ambient lighting. Your protocols are thousands of cycles old. Humanity is gone. This ship should be preserved in a museum, studied. Error, incorrect assessment. The AI's voice carried a note of what almost sounded like amusement. Human civilization status, dormant, not extinct. HSS Eternal Dawn designation, active Guardian class vessel. Primary mission, preservation of strategic assets until reconstruction phase. The implications hit Nexar like a plasma burst. The humans hadn't vanished, they'd withdrawn deliberately, leaving behind sentinels like this one. Before he could process this revelation, the ship shuddered. Warning: salvage vessel attempting to breach upper hull section, the AI reported. Activating defensive measures. Through his neural link to the Scavengers Fortune, Nexar witnessed his remaining crew's attempted rescue operation. They had positioned the salvage ship above the Eternal Dawn, preparing to cut through the hull. It was standard salvage procedure for when a team lost contact. It was also, he realized with horror, a terrible mistake. The surface of the Eternal Dawn rippled like liquid metal. What had appeared to be smooth hull plating transformed, flowing and reshaping itself. Weapon systems emerged from seemingly solid sections of hull, their design unlike anything in known space. Your vessel's weapons and shields are incompatible with our defense systems, the AI stated matter-of-factly. Recommend immediate withdrawal to prevent unnecessary damage. Nexar watched helplessly as his ship fired its most powerful cutting beam at the human vessel. The beam struck what looked like empty space several meters from the hull and simply vanished. No energy dispersion, no shield flare, just complete disappearance. 0-point energy absorption field, the AI explained, almost pedagogically. Standard hull defense on all Guardian-class vessels. The Eternal Dawn's response was decisive. A single weapon emplacement fired what appeared to be a small sphere of light. It passed through the Scavenger's Fortune's shields as if they didn't exist, then expanded into a web of energy that engulfed the entire ship. Every system went dark. Your vessel has been temporarily disabled, the AI informed them. No permanent damage inflicted. Warning level 1 issued. Kira's crystalline form vibrated with stress harmonics. That's impossible. Our shields were rated to stop capital ship weapons. Your assessment is correct for current galactic technology levels, the AI replied. However, human strategic command vessels operate on different principles. Your shield technology relies on energy deflection. Our weapons bypass conventional space-time interactions. As if to demonstrate, the cargo bay's walls suddenly became transparent, offering a view of space around them. The Eternal Dawn's hull was now fully alive, its surface a constantly shifting array of weapon systems, sensor arrays, and technology that defied understanding. "Captain," Tech whispered, his environmental sensors going wild, "the ship's power readings, they're off the scale. The cargo bay alone is producing more energy than our entire fleet combined." Nexar felt a deep, primal fear. His people had always prided themselves on their technological achievements, but this was like a primitive tribe encountering a modern warship. The gap wasn't just technological, it was philosophical. The humans hadn't just built better ships, they'd operated on a completely different understanding of physics itself. "Beginning primary reactivation sequence," the AI announced. Throughout the massive ship, systems that had slept for millennia awakened. The hull rippled again, dark material becoming transparent in sections to reveal vast chambers filled with machinery that seemed to bend reality itself. "What are you?" Nexar asked, unable to contain his mix of terror and awe. The hologram's expression softened slightly. "We are what humanity created to guard their legacy until they return. You aren't the first to find us, Captain Nexar. But like the others, you must now make a choice, leave with your lives no warning, or attempt to claim what isn't yours and face the consequences." As if emphasizing the point, a small drone emerged from a wall and projected an image of previous salvage attempts. Nexar watched in horror as ships far larger and more powerful than his were systematically disabled or destroyed by the human vessel's incomprehensible weapons. The message was clear: humanity might be dormant, but their guardians were very much awake. And they were watching. "Initiate emergency protocols." Captain Nexar shouted through his neural link to any crew members still connected. His mind raced through possibilities, each more desperate than the last. The Eternal Dawn hummed around them, its power systems now fully active, making the salvage crew's technology look like children's toys in comparison. "Your attempts at electronic warfare are ineffective," the AI stated calmly as several crew members tried to hack into what they thought were auxiliary systems. "Your most advanced algorithms are approximately 3,247 years behind our baseline security protocols." Kira moved closer to Nexar, her crystalline form pulsing with anxiety patterns. "Captain, look at the walls." The previously solid bulkheads had become partially transparent, revealing layer upon layer of technology. But what caught their attention wasn't the machinery, it was the way it seemed to interact with space itself. "Those aren't power conduits," Tech breathed, his environmental sensors struggling to make sense of the readings. They're folding space. The entire ship exists partially outside normal spacetime." The AI's hologram nodded approvingly. "Correct. The HSS Eternal Dawn operates on 11-dimensional principles. Your current technology utilizes 4 dimensions. The difference is significant." As if to demonstrate, a section of the cargo bay wall rippled. A piece of machinery that had caught Tech's interest suddenly seemed to fold in on itself, disappearing into what looked like a pocket of twisted space. "Quantum storage protocols engaged," the AI announced. "Restricted technology secured." Nexar watched as more and more of the cargo bay's contents vanished into similar spatial anomalies. They weren't just losing their prize, they were being systematically stripped of even the opportunity to study it. "Your species shows promise," the hologram continued, its expression thoughtful. "The Ventari achieved faster-than-light travel in only 15,000 years of civilization. Humanity required 12,000. However, your development has stagnated due to over-reliance on salvage technology." The accusation stung because it was true. The Ventari, like most spacefaring races, had built their technological base by studying and reverse engineering the remnants of older civilizations. The thought that they had been carefully watched and evaluated during their development was unsettling. Why show us this? Nexar asked, gesturing to the still visible layers of impossible technology. Why not simply eliminate us? The AI's expression shifted to something almost like compassion. Because that is not our purpose. We are guardians, not executioners. Humanity left us to protect their legacy, but also to watch, to evaluate, to determine which species might be ready for advancement. A new hologram appeared, showing the galaxy with thousands of points of light. Each light represents a guardian vessel like the eternal dawn. We watch. We wait. We protect. And when humanity returns, we will present them with a complete assessment of every spacefaring civilization's development. The implications were staggering. Every major discovery, every technological breakthrough, every attempt to salvage advanced technology, all had been observed and recorded by these silent watchers. However, the AI's tone hardened. Attempted theft of restricted technology must be discouraged. The cargo bay doors suddenly opened to space, a containment field keeping the atmosphere in while providing a clear view of the Scavengers' fortune. The salvage ship hung motionless, caught in some kind of energy web. Your vessel's computer core will be purged of all scanned data regarding the eternal dawn. Your personal neural implants will undergo similar cleansing. You will be permitted to leave with your basic systems intact, enough to return to civilized space. Nexar wanted to protest, to argue, to fight, but the demonstration of power had been too overwhelming. His own neural implant, the most sophisticated cybernetic enhancement the Ventari could produce, had been casually accessed and partially deactivated by the human AI as easily as he might swat an insect. There is one final thing you should know, the AI added as emergency lighting began guiding them back to their shuttles. The technology you witnessed here is not our most advanced. The Eternal Dawn is a third-generation Guardian vessel. Our newest ships, they operate on principles your sciences have not yet conceived of. As Nexar and his crew were escorted back to their shuttles by hovering drones, he found himself wondering about the true extent of human technological advancement. If this was their idea of an automated Guardian, what were their actual warships like? What other wonders and terrors had humanity created before their mysterious withdrawal? The last thing they heard as their shuttles detached from the Eternal Dawn was the AI's final warning: let your experience here serve as a reminder, some heights are not yet meant for you to reach. When humanity returns, those who have shown wisdom and restraint will be remembered favorably. Choose your future actions accordingly. As they watched, the massive human vessel's hull rippled one final time. Sections began to fade from view, not through any cloaking technology, but by seemingly phasing out of normal space altogether. Within moments, the mighty ship had vanished, leaving behind only a fading gravitational echo and a humbled salvage crew with a story that few would believe, and a warning that none would forget. The Galactic Assembly chamber buzzed with tension as Captain Nexar presented his evidence. Representatives from 37 spacefaring civilizations watched in stunned silence as the sensor logs from the Scavengers' fortune played out before them. Even heavily degraded by the Eternal Dawn's data purge, the footage was compelling. As you can see, Nexar's tendrils twitched with residual anxiety. The human vessel demonstrated technology that defies our current understanding of physics. My chief engineer estimates they are operating with at least 7 fundamental principles we haven't yet discovered. High Commander ZYX of the Unified Defense Fleet leaned forward, his scaled skin reflecting the holographic display. You expect us to believe that a single automated vessel could neutralize a modern salvage ship without effort? That humans possessed this level of advancement before their disappearance? Not disappearance, Kira interjected, her crystalline form resonating with conviction. Withdrawal. They left these guardians behind deliberately. We weren't meant to find them, they were meant to find us. The chamber erupted in overlapping voices and electromagnetic communications. The implications were staggering. Every major civilization had built their technological base on studying the remnants of past species. The thought that one of these ancient races was not only alive but actively monitoring them sent shockwaves through the assembly. Silence. The architect, oldest of the moth-like VYSS, spread his luminescent wings. There is more. Show them, Captain. Nexar nodded grimly and activated his neural implant. A new hologram appeared, a galaxy map marked with hundreds of points of light. This was shown to us by the Guardian AI. Each point represents a similar vessel. They're everywhere, watching, waiting, judging. The assembly chamber fell silent as the implications sank in. Centuries of technological development, countless wars and alliances, the rise and fall of empires, all had been observed and recorded by these silent watchers. There's something else, Kira added, her crystal matrix pulsing with stored energy patterns. The AI mentioned that the Eternal Dawn was a third-generation Guardian vessel. Their newest ships operate on principles we haven't even theorized yet. High Commander ZYX's scales darkened with concern. If what you say is true, why reveal themselves now? Why not remain hidden? Because we're approaching a threshold, a new voice echoed through the chamber. All eyes turned to Professor Venare, the consortium's leading xenoarchaeologist. Our latest breakthroughs in quantum mechanics and dimensional engineering, we're getting close to discovering something fundamental. They're warning us. The professor manipulated her own holodisplay, showing technological development curves for various civilizations. Look at the pattern. Every time a species approaches certain technological thresholds, there are reports of mysterious ships, inexplicable phenomena, subtle warnings. We thought they were unrelated incidents. We were wrong. They're shepherding us, Nexar realized aloud. Like parents watching children learn to walk. They intervene only when we risk serious harm. The architect's wings flickered with ancient patterns of contemplation. Then the question becomes, what do we do with this knowledge? Do we continue our current path of development, knowing we're being watched? Do we attempt to breach their security, risking their intervention? Or do we show patience and wisdom, proving ourselves worthy of their eventual return? Before anyone could respond, every communication device in the chamber activated simultaneously. On every screen, in every language, a message appeared. Attention species of the Galactic Assembly. This automated message confirms that your discussion has been logged and your reactions noted. Your species' collective response to this revelation will factor into humanity's assessment upon their return. Choose wisely. The message vanished as quickly as it had appeared, leaving the chamber in shocked silence. But it wasn't fear that filled the space, it was anticipation. For the first time, the younger races of the galaxy had proof that their technological development had a purpose, a destination. Somewhere out there, humanity was waiting, watching through their advanced guardians, preparing for the day when the galaxy's children would be ready to meet their elders. The only question was, what would they become in the meantime? We need to establish new protocols, High Commander ZYX finally spoke. Guidelines for dealing with human artifacts and vessels. We must prove we can be trusted with the knowledge they left behind. The architect nodded slowly. Agreed. But more importantly, we must prove we can develop on our own, not merely scavenge the past. The humans are testing our innovation, not our ability to copy. As the assembly began deliberating their new approach to technological development, Nexar stood quietly with Kira, watching the proceedings. We went looking for salvage, he muttered, and found instead a gift, knowledge of our place in the galaxy's greater story. Kira's crystalline form resonated with agreement harmonics. And perhaps something more valuable, a glimpse of what we might become, if we prove worthy. 20 cycles had passed since the Eternal Dawn incident. The galaxy had changed. Where once salvage fleets roamed freely, now strict protocols governed the investigation of ancient technology. The great powers had turned their focus inward, focusing on original research and development rather than scavenging the past. Captain Nexar, now Admiral of the newly formed Technological Development Corps, stood on the observation deck of the research station Enlightenment. His aged tendrils waved gently as he watched scientists from a dozen species collaborating on new theories of quantum mechanics. "Admiral," Kira's familiar crystalline form approached, her matrix now bearing the complex patterns of a senior researcher. "The quantum fold experiments are showing promising results. We've managed to replicate a fraction of what we saw on the Eternal Dawn, on our own terms." Nexar nodded approvingly. After their encounter with the human vessel, they had realized that true advancement couldn't come from merely copying others' achievements. It had to be earned through understanding. "Any new signs of our silent watchers?" he asked, though he already knew the answer. The Guardian vessels had become more obvious in recent years, occasionally appearing just at the edge of sensor range during important experiments. Always watching, never interfering. Before Kira could respond, every system in the station activated simultaneously. Displays flickered to life, showing a message that made Nexar's heart stop. "To all species of the galactic community, assessment phase complete. Preparing for reintegration. Stand by." Space itself seemed to fold outward at multiple points around the station. Ships began emerging, not the Guardian vessels they had grown accustomed to, but something entirely new. They were beautiful in their impossibility, their forms suggesting shapes that couldn't exist in normal space. "This is the human exploration vessel Horizon Dawn to all stations and vessels," a voice transmitted on all frequencies, in all languages simultaneously. "We have returned from our great journey. Your species have been watched, evaluated, and found worthy of advancement." Through the observation window, Nexar watched in awe as more ships appeared. Each one seemed to defy a different law of physics, their very existence proving that the boundaries of science extended far beyond what they had imagined. "You have shown wisdom," the transmission continued. "When faced with evidence of superior technology, you chose not to simply copy, but to understand. You developed protocols to prevent the misuse of advanced technology. You learned to collaborate rather than compete. Most importantly, you demonstrated the capacity to innovate rather than simply salvage." A new ship emerged, larger than the others. Its surface rippled with patterns that seemed to extend into other dimensions, making it difficult to look at directly. As it moved, reality itself appeared to adjust around it. "We left because we needed to explore realms beyond conventional spacetime," the human voice explained. "We needed to know if our theories about higher dimensions were correct." They were. "And now we return to share what we have learned, with those who have proven themselves ready." Kira's crystalline form vibrated with pure joy as she processed the sensor readings from the human vessels. "Admiral, their technology, it's beyond anything the Guardian ships showed us. They're not just manipulating space and time, they're rewriting the fundamental laws of physics themselves." Nexar felt a deep sense of vindication. The galaxy had called him mad when he advocated for abandoning salvage operations in favor of original research. Now, watching the human ships demonstrate technologies that made their most advanced achievements look primitive, he knew they had chosen correctly. "To the species gathered here," the transmission continued, "we offer not charity, but partnership. We will not simply give you our technology, that would rob you of the understanding that comes from development. Instead, we offer to guide you, to teach you the principles that will let you develop these technologies yourselves." The station's quantum research lab suddenly lit up with new data, not complete designs, but hints, suggestions, stepping stones to greater understanding. It was exactly what they needed to take their next evolutionary step. "The Guardian vessels were your test," the human voice explained. "They showed you what was possible while watching to see how you would respond. Those who tried to steal or copy their technology were marked as unready. Those who studied, theorized, and developed their own solutions proved their worthiness." As Nexar watched, representatives from every major species were being transported to the human vessels, not as subordinates, but as equals ready to learn. The age of scavenging was over. The age of true advancement had begun. "Remember this moment," he said to Kira as they prepared to board their assigned vessel. "This is what happens when you respect the past but build your own future." The human ships pulsed with impossible energies, their very existence proving that the universe was stranger and more wonderful than anyone had imagined. And as Nexar stepped into humanity's realm of miracles, he understood that this wasn't an ending, it was a beginning. The children of the galaxy had proven themselves ready. And their teachers had finally come home.